Hey bestie, it's B. Welcome back. Before we jump in, I wanted to remind you, I have a podcast. It's called The Delusional Diaries, and I post every single Monday. And those of you that like these kinds of videos, you're gonna love those videos. Go check me out, Spotify, Apple, Google, literally anywhere you can watch or listen to podcast, I'm there. And you can watch it on Spotify. So let me know what you guys think. Now for why we're all here. Rejection. Nobody likes it. It freaking sucks. I'm sure at one point or another, we've all experienced some level of rejection. Now here's the thing. If you are causing pain or discomfort to other people and they reject you as a consequence, that's different. I don't think I have to go into explaining that kind of rejection because I feel like my besties know how to be good people. And if that's something that you struggle with, then you gotta start there. But that's not necessarily what I wanna talk about today. There is a form of rejection where it's not justified, it's unfair, and it just doesn't make sense, and you are left out or cut out of something for reasons that you don't quite understand. That is specifically what I'll be talking about today. So now that we're clear, I'll be focusing on the rejection that comes from your friends, maybe the workplace, maybe it's an opportunity, maybe it's your own family, and you can 100% say, I don't get it. It's not fair, it doesn't make sense. Bestie, we're gonna get into it. So the first thing I wanna remind you of is how powerful you are. Remember, Bestie B believes in something called manifestation, law of attraction, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I just strongly believe that we are all the directors and writers of our own movies of life. Part of this belief that I am a creator of my own life is also believing that the universe, God, or whatever you refer to is also giving me the tools to create the movie that I want. In this creation, I operate under the assumption that everything is happening to me as the best case scenario. I've talked about best case scenario before. I always believe that whatever's happening in front of me was meant to happen because it was the best possible option. Doesn't always make sense because initially it can feel like shit. That's the fine print. The best case scenario can feel like shit. Now, how does that make sense? Because we don't know it all. And understanding that and kind of giving that power to something bigger is going to quite literally change your life. Considering this, if all of these things are true and that the best case scenario is always happening to me, that means in the moments when I'm being rejected and you're being rejected, that was the best possible case. I think one of the most painful places I've experienced rejection myself is within certain friendships. I wanted to specifically talk about growing up, being super young and just trying to fit into this mold and be accepted by friends who I really thought cared about me, but I don't think they did. Being so young at the time, I was really caught up in having this validation and having this acceptance. I wanted to be seen with these girls because in my eyes, they were the cool girls and I was hanging out with them. So I thought that would make me cool, you know, the whole association thing. And to a degree that worked, but I also was pretty fucking cool on my own. I just didn't realize it yet. So I spent literally years chasing after the validation of these girls that were never gonna give it to me. The way that I can describe these friends were that they were the kind of friends that don't really want to see me win, and as long as I was operating under their standards, I was okay to be around them. What people don't understand sometimes, we can do a whole TED talk on this, is that your friends really do influence your success and your blessings sometimes, because if they low-key don't want you to win, that's a problem. When I started content creation, the ringleader of this girl group reached out to me. All she said was, "What is this you're doing?" It was obvious what I was doing. Like, unless you grew up in a circus and you're a goddamn buffoon, you know why I'm doing this, because I want to. And I loved creating content, and at the time it was an escape for me because I was really unhappy at work. You could have been happy for me, and the last thing you were was happy for me. It was kind of in this moment where I had an epiphany. This girl and the girls that she hung out with were never my friends. It made me feel so fucking small at the time. It made me feel like, wow, like I'm actually so stupid because these girls are cool and they think it's weird that I'm doing this. So when this kind of went about, it was just really hurtful because I'm like, man, like I really don't feel like I've constantly been in a position to deserve this treatment. My gut was always telling me what was really up. But I think part of why we experience rejection sometimes is because we choose to put ourselves in situations that we are not meant to be in. And when I say not meant to be in, that doesn't mean you're not good enough to be in that situation. That means you are too good to be in that situation. And those girls were dimming my light constantly. I was holding on to something that was never going to be what I wanted it to be. People do it in romantic relationships, they do it in friendships, and I'm here to tell you, you will never change these bitches, just let them go. When I did, I was able to 100% lean into content creation. And I really had this like fuck it attitude because in my mind, I was like, even when I was trying to be cool, I still never felt cool. So now I'm gonna actually do what I wanna do and I don't care what these girls think of me anymore. When you spend too much time trying to look cool, you are missing out on your blessings. You are missing out on the opportunities. The opportunities are there for you, but you're too busy wondering if so-and-so still is gonna think you're cute or if this is too cringy. Like you are too worried about what other people believe about you. Just own that these bitches are rejecting you and go for what you want to go for. I also took that negativity from the situation, the pain that I felt, the rejection that I felt from not being good enough in their eyes or whatever I was interpreting that to be, and I made something out of it. I used it in my content creation, and you better believe it was a motivation for me to succeed because I knew what they hated was my light. So I was like, shine bright like a diamond, like I'm about to pop off. What I'm saying is there is pain that comes with rejection that is inevitable because we are humans, but what can you do with it? How can you make it something beautiful? You don't have to let them be right about you. In fact, when people treat you this way, they know your potential, maybe not consciously, but they know there's something about you to fear because you're powerful and there's something that they don't have. And instead of them working on themselves, they'd rather spend time making you believe that you ain't shit, which isn't true. Rejection is yet another superpower that you can use. That feeling of rejection, it's special. I really think it's special because like I said, there's so much beauty that can come out of the pain in those moments where rejection was not justified. And that can be with a romantic partner, that could be with a job, with an opportunity. Take that feeling of rejection and do something with it. You can cry for a day, but then we're done, we're moving on. And I need you to go back to this concept that this happened because it was the best case scenario. If these girls had accepted me as their friends, which by the way would have never happened, but if they did, it would have never been the best case scenario because they were not for me. The best case scenario was Bria learning who she was, and I would have not have been able to do that with those girls around me, telling me things about myself and making me feel bad about myself. So that rejection from those girls was the best case scenario. And I am forever grateful to them because I took something that hurt me and I made it into something beautiful. Actually, to be specific, I made it into a career. And they are a big reason why I stuck with it because I was never gonna let them be right about me. Another example of rejection that I had dealt with was in the workplace. So when I got my first big girl corporate job, I was so excited, but maybe a bit naive that it was gonna be easy breezy. One of my first managers was very obviously not about me, not about a lot of women, big misogynist energy, like clear as day treated the girls on his team differently than he treated the guys. I had a really difficult time working with this person. You ever work with someone where you know they just don't fuck with you and you're like, I'm just breathing. The kind of manager that's always micromanaging you. When you do something good, it's not acknowledged. When you do something bad, it is a big fucking deal. I just really struggled in that environment like anyone would. Like who does good in those circumstances? And there were other power plays he would pull on me. Like unfortunately, when I started the job, I had 2 deaths in my family and I tried to make both funerals and he would not give me time off for both. That was a really difficult time time for me because it's like, hey, I need money, but also I can't just leave this job even though he's literally going out of his way to make being a dick his career. I will never understand what this man's problem was with me, but he was put in my life for a reason. I believe that. If it weren't for how low and how sad and depressed I was, and it wasn't solely his fault, he was just a big reason. And if none of that happened, I wouldn't be here. When I say I am grateful for the haters, I'm not playing, y'all, because my haters, I really take that shit literally. They are my motivators. Like, if you hate me, the last thing you should do is let me know, because it's gonna work out for me. Having this constant negative energy every single day just really made me look at my life and think, hey, am I gonna do this forever? Because no, I'm not. And so what am I gonna do? I'm gonna start doing what the fuck I want in this life, and I will never have anyone breathing down my neck like that again. Like, ever. I mean that. And so I worked my ass off to get to this point of being my own boss. Maybe that will mean something else in the future. Today, it means I'm a creator and a YouTuber, and I'm so thankful for that. But in 50 years, if I want to still be my own boss and do something else, I'm gonna absolutely do it because I made that promise to myself. And the experience that I had, the rejection I always felt in the office, is exactly why I learned Bria will never be a corporate bitch again. And now I look back on that time in my life, and I could not be more grateful. Even in those moments when my manager was being an entire dick and a half, it was the best case scenario because there was a bigger picture in the works for me. What I think you have to look at these moments of rejection and these periods and these seasons of rejection as, it is redirecting you. Let's make a corny saying again. Rejection is redirection. Rejection is a lot of things. The way I picture it in my head is like my highest self, the most bomb-ass version of me. She is literally trying to get me to her, and she is actually directing, she's writing, she's manipulating the whole scene, and she has to do this by sometimes putting me in such a shitty situation that I want to completely pivot. That is how you have to start looking at rejection. You can't let rejection consume you and become a victim to it. The point of rejection is for a bigger reason that you're not gonna understand, and you may never understand, but it was supposed to happen to you the way that it happened, because now you have something and you have to make something else from it. And when you trust that, you don't attach to these moments of rejection like that. The amount of times I've been told no, you guys, the amount of times where people looked at me like I was absolutely bonkers saying I was gonna be a YouTuber, and like, here I am. Thank you. Like, I love that for me because it really showed me that like I'm in control, and so are you. You're the director, you're the writer. Rejection is literally nothing. You guys don't have to take these rejections and these no's and run with it like it was the one opportunity you had. It's just not true. And believe me, there are times I have to remind myself of this because I get rejected all the time. So one thing I wanted to share with you guys, I've talked about this before, but like my favorite affirmation, or when I'm like trying to plan, goal set, things like that, I'll say, like, for example, I want a partnership with Olipop, which by the way, you guys should go on their Instagram and just comment that you want heybriajones, her mystery flavor, because I have 2 flavors I want to pitch to them. But say for example, Olipop is like, no, fuck this girl, like we're not working with her. I would have to literally just be like, okay, that was the best case scenario. But something that I do when I'm goal setting is I'll say, I'm Olipop's new ambassador, new face, whatever you want to call it. And then what I do is say, I'm super grateful for this opportunity with Olipop, this or something better. I always leave the door open because I might think I want to work with a brand. I might think that Olipop is like the cream of the crop, and the universe is like, no, it's not. And we're gonna make sure it doesn't happen. And I have to respect that because I trust that the best case scenario is gonna happen for me. Now, all of that is hypothetical. I still wanna work with Olipop, but if it doesn't work out, it wasn't meant to be because I said this or something better. So I'll get my something better, but always add this or something better because I feel like it just allows you to still receive. Because if you're so stuck on this one case, if it had to be just Olipop, but what if like, I don't know, freaking Coca-Cola wanted to give you like a huge deal and you you were just specifically manifesting Olipop though. Like, open the door to receive whatever blessing wants to come to you. Be open to how it might come to you in a different way that you didn't think about. So just leave that, because we don't know everything. We don't know it all. I just love respecting the universe, respecting God, and saying, I don't know it all, but you know what the best thing is for me, and so I'm gonna be receptive to that. As your bestie, I just want you from now on, when rejection happens, I want you to get fucking excited, because that means you just had the best case scenario happen. We are literally going to rewire our brains to really excited about rejection. If it's with a job, bestie, that means something better is happening for you. The best case scenario is on the way. How exciting. Could you imagine if in a job interview, instead of them being like, oh, we're so sorry, we can't make this work, what if they were like, I'm so excited, the best case scenario is on the way to you, but it's not here, but it's coming and it's on the way to you? Wouldn't you be like, oh, hell yeah, all right, no worries, and you would just like skedaddle? Why don't we just start acting like that now? Rejection is seriously a form of protection for you. It is redirection, it is protection, it is meant to happen to you for the absolute best. As your bestie, I just think you gotta spend more time being excited about it, and do not let it bring you down. There's no point. Being rejected by someone maybe you went on a few dates with, you're one step closer to finding your soulmate. Good for you. Getting rejected by a job, great. You're one step closer to the perfect job for you. Getting rejected by an opportunity you thought you were gonna have, well, apparently there's a better one around the corner for you. Being rejected by friends sometimes is a blessing in disguise. You never know what that reason could be, but get excited, because you're making room for some really awesome friends. As usual, I hope this delusional idea of rejection has helped you a little bit to maybe put less emphasis on when it does happen in your life. I just know in the past, for me, rejection has really kind of made me feel awful. As I get older, I am really appreciative of those moments that I thought I knew it all and thought that I needed to have something, because now I feel like I really appreciate the things coming my way, and I can see how some things shouldn't have worked out so that I could get to where I am today. And that's how it's gonna continue to happen for me. I would love to know if you've had moments of rejection where later down the road you were like, thank God that didn't work out. Drop it down in the comments. And if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe and notification bell, and I'll see you next week.